Okay, there was more from Albert Breer. This was interesting. He said that last year, the reason the 49ers were so gung-ho with Trey Lance, starting him, no quarterback competition, Jimmy go away, Brock your third string, was because they were essentially counting on losing, willing to lose, and go through the growing pains of his development. But that this year, they're not willing to do that because they fully understand that they're in win-now mode, as opposed to last year where they didn't understand what kind of mode they were in. Although, again, this is not his opinion, it's what he's hearing. They're coming off an NFC championship last year. They're coming off an NFC championship this year. Seems like they're in the same position, but now they feel like their position is more solidified. What do you think of that?
It sounds ridiculous. You mean last year with all those players, they were not in win-now mode? Then why did they get McCaffrey?
Right.
Why'd they get McCaffrey if they weren't in win-now mode?
Uh-huh.
They got him because it would make Jed feel good?
Right. Right. And why did they run Trey Lance so much if they were trying to develop him and throw away games? Like, if you wanted to win with Trey Lance on the field, maybe you might run him a lot. You're not developing him that way.
No, I don't know who told Albert Breer that, but that sounds a little whack-a-rama to me.
It sounds extremely whack-a-rama.
Listen, Iggy, for the last several years, the Niners have been in win-now mode.
Yeah.
And the one thing they haven't done is win now.
Right. And people keep saying, it's okay. It's okay. You know, football's a fluky sport, and it's not 7-game series. You know, sometimes a turnover or an injury, but really the consistency that the Niners have been able to have last fight, it's almost like winning a Super Bowl. And they're going to win one eventually. So why are we criticizing him? When the way I look at it is, you know, these windows don't last forever. A lot of your best players are in their 30s, and you just had a 4-year window that you didn't go through. You didn't capitalize on, to use a bunch of terrible cliches. And maybe if you hadn't traded for Trey Lance and you'd used those picks on players at any freaking position that actually were on the field, you might have won the Super Bowl last year, the year before that, both times. So to me, it feels like a really missed opportunity.
You know, you had a very interesting conversation yesterday with Ryan, and you named some
like
coaches who could actually win a Super Bowl with the Niners. The one guy in Philly is Scangarello. Is that his name?
Sirianni.
Sirianni. I'm sorry. My wife was Italian, but I'm not so good with I apologize. I'm not so good. Sirianni. I think he could do better with the Niners than Kyle. Now, Ryan had a very interesting comeback. Could he have done it with Jimmy? My feeling is a guy like Sirianni wouldn't have had Jimmy. He would have had a real quarterback.
Sirianni could do it with Trey.
Yeah. He could deal with Trey, or he would have had a better quarterback than Jimmy.
Right.
So, I mean, I think there are any number of coaches currently in the league who could have taken advantage of the opportunity and handled the quarterback better. And what I think we're seeing with the Niners, and look, I know you people watching are fans, and I apologize because I'm being negative right now and critical. I'm not being negative. I'm being critical. And it's a difference. What we're seeing is the 49ers flailing at the most important position, flailing and giving out off-the-record tips to try to show they're on top of the situation, but only show them flailing more.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. They keep trying to act like they have a plan, and it makes sense. Last year, the plan was to lose, and it made sense. We were going to lose because that was smart. But this year, you know, we had a meeting, huddled up, and you said, you know what? We're not going to lose this year. Who's with me? And people, we all raised our hand. We voted on not losing. And sorry, Trey, that's how we feel this year. And that's smart.
Yeah.
What's funny is if Sam Darnold sucks in training camp and Brock Purdy isn't quite ready and the Niners have to say all this stuff and actually ride with Trey Lance for a while. How's that going to go? All right, we want to lose now. Trey, get out there. We've decided we changed our mind. We want to lose. Go. Let's go.
I've never heard of a team planning to lose. Now, there are certain teams that do lose and want to get draft picks and stuff. But before the season starts, is that why Kyle got off to such a bad start? Because he was planning to lose?
I think that might be it. It's not that they start slow. It's that he wanted to start slow. Everything that happens to Kyle, he planned out. That's the best part about Kyle. Yeah.
That theory is what my mother would call mishigas, and in Yiddish
Mishigas.
it means mishigas, craziness. It's the craziness theory.
Yeah, I mean, the truth here is that the Niners were never willing to be patient enough to get Trey Lance on the field, ever. They've always seen themselves in win now mode. I have no idea why they traded for him in the first place. I don't get it. They were in win now mode. He's the least experienced first-round quarterback ever. It never made sense. Once they got him, I thought, wow, that's a very confident move from a confident coach. He must have a plan. He didn't. He freaking didn't.
No, he didn't.
So it's, definitely one of the worst trades ever, but it's not finished yet because he's still on the team. How much longer do you think he's going to be here in purgatory?
I have no idea. Because so many things can happen. He could start the season and do well. Or, get this, Darnold could start. He could, I'm not going to say he could not do well. Mm-hmm. And Lance could come in and possibly do very well. So, Iggy, I am as confused about the quarterbacks as Kyle Shanahan is.
Yeah, what's funny is we spend this entire offseason, pontificating and moralizing about who should play. Who should play and why it's wrong to have someone else. And they're all going to play. They're all going to play. This is the 49ers. Yeah. We're talking about Kyle Shanahan, head coach Kyle Shanahan. They're all going to play. They'll get their chances. Sorry. That's kind of a morbid thing to say, but it's like historically accurate.
And I want to say one other thing. When we're critical of the quarterback situation, I'm not particularly critical of Trey Lance. I'm critical of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch for getting him and for paying that price. I'm not critical of him. He's doing the best he can. He didn't make them take him number 3. He didn't put a gun to their head.
That's true.
He's a guy trying to be a good player, and they're inhibiting him.
Correct. And it's like what they did to flip it was they made it his fault. Like, look, we gave him the best team, the best coaching staff. We gave him a year on the bench. He just couldn't do it. Brock did it, but he couldn't do it. Like, no, you gave up a bunch of draft capital for this guy. You didn't have you knew he was a project. You were impatient. You didn't have anyone who could coach him. You threw up your hands, and you're blaming him for getting hurt. He didn't even fail. He just got hurt because you use him like a running back. And they're like, no. That's not what happened. That's not. It is what happened.
No. And knowing what we know, that they didn't have a plan, they probably should not have drafted him. And they Iggy, should we go to our next topic? Or we're flirting with it.
Flirting? Let's do it right now.